Welcome back to MX43 and our YZ Big Bike build. We've stopped by Master Mechanic to visit with Bucky Girolami and Suspension by Buck. And as we talked about earlier, on this particular project, we want to make sure that we do everything correct. This isn't just about making a beauty queen. We want to make something that looks good, but also runs good. And part of that is, as Buck has informed me, is making sure that we take care of the essentials, building this thing from the bottom up. So that means bearings, linkage, all those kind of things. And Buck's going to show us a little bit this morning about how he's got things prepared as we move through just kind of the essential, get this thing ready to run right again. And we'll address power and those kind of things later on. But Buck, what do we got here today?
Well, today we actually put new linkage bearings in and swing arm bearings. So we actually used the All Balls kit right here, so which was a really good kit to use. You know, a lot of people don't realize your linkage and your swing arm is a big factor of how your suspension works. It definitely has to flow, keep the bike moving, going up and down. And if it gets a little bit notchy, it's going to affect how your shock works. So, I mean, you can see all these old bearings here. They're not too bad a shape. I have seen them where they've rusted out. And but these definitely have some grease on them. They're just dirty. But for the most part, we put new bearings in it just to make sure it's safe because the bike's a few years old. It definitely has some wear on it. Again, linkage. So you got everything that flows really good. And again, if your bike don't want to move up and down too well, then it's a big factor in how the suspension works. I've had guys where I've redone shocks for them. They put their shock on their bike and they come back. My suspension don't work. I've actually pulled the shock back out and the swing arm won't even barely move. And it's because people don't ever want to lube their linkage. Really, you should do it if you ride a couple times a week, a couple times a month. You should at least do it once every 6 months to keep it clean, because I mean, if you use a pressure washer, that washes the grease out, it pushes mud into it, and it just wears faster.
So Buck, I think what you're saying is when you take linkage, swing arm, whatever, as debris, mud, dirt, whatever gets in here, then that's causing the swing arm or whatever just not to move smoothly. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so the answer to that is either take this thing apart and lube it up or bring it to somebody like you.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody's had a steering stem feel knotty, you know, and it's the same thing. You know, your linkage is the same thing. It will get that notchiness, but you don't feel it as bad because you got handlebars and you feel it really bad there. In the linkage, you don't feel it quite as bad. And you got to think your linkage, your swing arm, lower shock bearings, that's the first thing that ever hits water if you're riding off-road or even a muddy track. So that's a big factor. You got to think about all that water getting in there.
So I think what you're saying is that you actually could keep your suspension running better or actually improve your suspension simply by
just
taking care of your linkage and your swing arm.
Just maintenance.
Okay. When you need a little bit extra though, I know you did something different here.
Yeah.
You take care of our suspension for us all the time, so I know we've revalved things a little bit, but what did we do here on this shock?
We took this shock, we actually put new fluid in it and inspected everything, made sure all the seal head and everything like that. In fact, we actually put a new seal head. This is a stock seal head. We actually got a seal head from Intech, which is actually SKF seal head. And you know, you got your bushings, you got dust seals, and you got your oil seal in here. So you got to make sure that stuff works. And actually the SKF seals actually will have less stiction on the shaft and let it just flow way better.
Is this something that guys think about?
Nobody ever thinks about that.
I didn't think so.
Most guys, their thing is, let's get new graphics, new plastics, and make our bike look pretty. They don't think about the performance of your bike. And again, you know, some people think about motors. Your suspension works good, bike handles good. It's good to have a good motor, but this was just as good as horsepower.
Now you see why we wanted Buck in on this project. And that's the ability to do some of the small things that we would probably ignore as we threw on new plastic and new graphics and those kinds of things. We want this bike to look good, but we also want it to run good. And this is the basics. This is getting started. And we'll, as we move forward, we'll have some more videos for you showing some things that we are doing to the graphics and that we are doing to the engine. Bucky's going to do some things to the engine for us. But as we said earlier, we've tested a lot of motors. This is going to be an Eric Gore motor, but there are some things you can do on the intake side of things that we'll be showing you in the coming videos. Anything else, Buck, that we need to do?
No, I think, you know, just make sure that you use good products like SKF seals. And if you ever need any seals or anything from SKF, let me know and I can get those for you.
Well, thank you. We'll move forward with our project.
All right, thank you.